Welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Kathy Richards, a dressmaker whose specialist subject is the Undertones. Michael Lewis, a primary school teacher who'll be answering questions on Dad's Army. Matthew Hopkins, a digital marketing manager whose subject is Genghis Khan. And Edward Mason, a customer service assistant whose specialist subject is Basil Rathbone's Sherlock Holmes films. For people who, at this stage, may just be regretting that decision that they took many weeks ago to put themselves through this ordeal. They have to answer questions for 2 minutes on their specialist subject, then 2.5 minutes on their general knowledge, and they have to do it under great pressure, above all from that ticking clock. So let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Kathy Richards.
Your occupation?
I'm a dressmaker.
And your chosen subject?
The Undertones.
A rock band formed in the 70s, remained one of the most successful groups to emerge from Northern Ireland. Here we go, 2 minutes. Which 1978 track by the Undertones was a favourite of the DJ John Peel? A lyric from the song appears on his gravestone.
Teenage Kicks.
Yes. Which American music entrepreneur and co-founder of Sire Records heard Teenage Kicks played on John Peel's radio show and went on to sign the band to his label?
Seymour Steen.
Yes. The lyrics of the song My Perfect Cousin mention which television quiz show?
University Challenge.
Yep. One of the band's early performances outside Northern Ireland was a support slot at the Baggot Inn, Dublin, on April the 24th, 1977. Which Irish punk rock band headlined the bill that night?
Radiators from Space.
Correct. What is the name of the founder of the Good Vibrations record shop and record label? He was responsible for the initial release of the Undertones' debut EP.
Terry Hooley.
Yes, the band's first Peel session was recorded in October 1978 in Studio 1 of a radio station in Northern Ireland. Which station?
Downtown.
Yes, on a tour of North America in September 1979, the Undertones supported which British punk band?
The Clash.
Yes. What is the name of the amateur model who appears wrapped in raw meat and cling film on the cover of the Undertones' 1983 compilation album, All Wrapped Up?
Lobster.
Kath Johnson. What is the name of the record label that was set up when the band signed to EMI? Their studio albums, Positive Touch and The Sin of Pride, were released in the UK on this label in the early 1980s.
Ardec.
Yep. Fergal Sharkey's 1985 UK #1 single, A Good Heart, was written by an American musician. What's her name?
Maria McKee.
Yes. Who replaced Fergal Sharkey as the lead singer of the Undertones when the band reformed in 1999 and went on to record the studio albums Get What You Need and Dig Yourself Deep?
Paul McClune.
Yep. The new lineup of the Undertones played their first major gig on November the 19th, 1999, to celebrate the opening of a multimedia arts venue in Northern Ireland. What venue?
The Nerve Centre.
The Nerve Centre is correct. No passes, 11 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Michael Lewis.
Your occupation?
Primary school teacher.
And your specialist subject?
Dad's Army.
Dad's Army, the king of all sitcoms. Here we go. Although he's referred to as the caretaker in early episodes, the character, Mr. Yateman, played by Edward Sinclair, is later commonly known by a clerical title. What title?
The Verger.
Yep. Janet Davis played the role of Mrs. Pike throughout the television series, but in the 1971 feature film, the part was given to another actress. Which one?
Liz Fraser.
Yes. In The Deadly Attachment, a captured U-boat commander collects the names of the platoon members so that after Germany wins the war, they can be brought to account. Which actor played the commander?
Philip Maddock.
He did. In the episode A. Wilson, Manager, Wilson infuriates Mannering when he's promoted to be the manager of another branch of the bank. In which town is Wilson's new posting?
Eastgate.
Is correct. In the episode We Know Our Onions, the platoon is set a series of efficiency tests by Captain Ramsay. Which actor, well known later for his appearance in Porridge, played the part of Captain Ramsay?
Fulton Mackay.
Correct. In Battle of the Giants, members of the platoon are ordered to wear their military medals for a ceremonial parade. In the absence of medals, what does Pike wear on his chest?
His scout badges.
Yes. Which actor plays the role of Mr. Blewett, a straight-talking elderly resident of Wilmington-on-Sea in many episodes of the series?
Harold Bennett.
Correct. In The Recruit, Wilson takes charge of the platoon while Mannering is in hospital. For which ailment is Mannering being treated?
Ingrowing toenail.
Indeed. Episodes of the series closed with an instrumental version of the theme song, Who Do You Think You're Kidding, Mr. Hitler, performed by a military band conducted by Trevor L. Sharp. Which regiment's band was it?
The Coldstream Guards.
It was. In the 1971 feature film, when the platoon secretly enters the church hall via the crypt to surprise the Germans, the experience reminds Pike of a scene from a classic horror film. What film?
Dracula.
Yes. What is the surname of the reporter from the Eastbourne Gazette who joins the platoon on a temporary basis in order to write a weekly feature about its activities?
Cheeseman.
Yes, in Sergeant Wilson's Little Secret, the platoon prepares for the proposed marriage of Wilson and Mrs. Pike. Which member stands in for the bride-to-be when they rehearse the Guard of Honour?
Corporal Jones.
Indeed it was. Michael, no passes for you. And you got them all right as well, 12 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Matthew Hopkins,
Your occupation?
digital marketing manager,
And your specialist subject?
Genghis Khan.
The warrior and ruler who united the Mongol tribes and built one of the largest empires in the world. 2 minutes on him. Starting now, Genghis Khan established a stronghold at what site? It's known as the first capital of the Mongol Empire, although it was later superseded by Karakorum.
Kirat.
Avraga. After he assumed the title Genghis Khan in 1206, he named his 4 generals, his so-called war horses. They were Borchu, Borakul, Chilaun, and which other celebrated general?
Timur.
Mukhali. In 1209, Genghis launched an attack on the kingdom of the Tanguts in a bid for booty and tribute. What was the name of the kingdom?
Xia.
Yeah, Xixia. What dynasty of northern China, whose name meant golden to its ruling tribe, the Jurchen, was the main rival to the Mongols of Genghis Khan's time?
Jin.
Yes. In what city, celebrated as a centre of Muslim learning, did the conquering Genghis Khan supposedly stand in the pulpit of the Great Mosque to declare himself the scourge of God?
Mirth.
Bukhara. What is the usual English translation of Genghis Khan's birth name, Temujin, which his father took from Temujin Uga, a Tatar chieftain he had recently captured?
Blacksmith.
Yes. During Temujin's exile in the late 12th century, one of his loyal followers, later to become a great general, pledged to be like a rat and gather up others like a black crow and gather great flocks. What was his name?
Pass.
What nomadic people of Southwest Asia, known in Russia as the Polovtsians, were defeated by the Mongols under Subedai and Jebe at the river Kalka in 1223, despite an alliance with various Russian powers?
Rus.
Kumans. A Karaite leader who was an ally of Temujin's father joined forces with Temujin and Jamukha in a campaign against the Merkit. What was his name?
Togrul.
Yes. In 1214, Genghis's army besieged and later sacked a major city where it was said that 60,000 young women threw themselves from the walls rather than submit to the Mongol invaders. Which city?
Pass.
A son of Shah Muhammad commanded an army that inflicted a rare defeat on the Mongols at Parwan in 1221. He reputedly earned the admiration of Genghis Khan by plunging into the Indus and riding to safety. Who was he?
Muhammad II.
Jalal.
Jalal.
You had 2 passes, Matthew. The chap who pledged to be like a rat and gather up others like a black crow, etc., was Subedi. And Genghis's army besieged and later sacked the big city, and all those women threw themselves from the walls rather than submit to the invaders. That city was Beijing. You have scored 4 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Edward Mason,
Your occupation?
customer service assistant.
And your specialist subject?
Basil Rathbone's Sherlock Holmes films.
The series of films starring Rathbone as the famous detective made between 1939 and 1946. Here we go, 2 minutes. Which actress plays Mrs. Hudson in 10 of the films?
Mary Gordon.
Yes. Who directed The Hound of the Baskervilles, the first film in the series?
Sidney Lanfield.
Yes. What is the name of the hotel in Sherlock Holmes in Washington where Holmes is staying when the corpse of John Grayson is delivered to him?
The Hotel Metropole.
Yes. In The Scarlet Claw, Watson's middle initial appears on Junet's hotel register. What is the initial?
H.
Yep. In the end credits to both Sherlock Holmes and The Secret Weapon and The Woman in Green, the name of one of the characters is spelt incorrectly with an extra letter I. Which character?
Moriarty.
Yes. In The Spider-Woman, Adria Spedding plans to have Holmes killed by placing him in a shooting gallery behind an effigy of whom?
Hitler.
Yes. Which of the films ends with Dr. Watson's line, "Elementary, my dear Holmes, elementary," followed by Holmes's laughter?
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes. In his memoir, In and Out of Character, Rathbone described the performance of one of the three actors who played Moriarty in the series as delectably dangerous. Which actor?
Henry Daniel.
Yes. In Terror by Night, the diamond known as the Star of Rhodesia was given to Lady Margaret Carstairs by her husband on their 5th wedding anniversary. How many carats does Holmes say it weighed?
423.
Yes. In The Pearl of Death, Holmes tells Watson to hide the pearl, which is worth £50,000, when he hears a visitor approaching. What hiding place does Watson choose?
His mouth.
Yes. In Pursuit to Algiers, Watson performs a song at the request of Miss Woodbury. What is the title of the song?
Loch Lomond.
Yes. In Dress to Kill, also known as Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Code, Holmes leaves Watson in sole charge of a young girl just after the two of them free her from a locked cupboard. Watson tries to cheer her up by imitating what creature?
Duck.
Is correct. In The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty sends a letter to Sir Ronald Ramsgate. On the envelope, what job title is written under Sir Ronald's name?
Constable of the Tower of London.
Is correct. In The Scarlet Claw, Holmes receives a posthumous letter from a victim which prompts him to tell Watson it's the first time we have been retained by a corpse. What was the victim's name?
Lady Penrose.
Correct. No passes. You've scored 14 points. Well, 14 points. You don't often see that in the specialist round. Let's have a look at all of the scores. In 4th place, 4 points, Matthew. 3rd place, 11 points, Kathy. 2nd place, 12 points, Michael. 1st place, 14 points, Edward. So it is the general knowledge round now, and if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they are tied on passes as well, there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Matthew to join us again, please. And you picked a heck of a subject for your specialist round. Boy, Genghis Khan. Anyway, there we go. You've got plenty of time to score more points now in the general knowledge round. OK. In 2.5 minutes. Here we go. The Great Emancipator and the Rail Splitter were two of the nicknames of which American president?
Abraham Lincoln.
Yes. Which European country and former Soviet republic has a national flag based on the tricolour of neighbouring Romania and, like Romania, uses a unit of currency called the leu?
Lithuania.
Moldova. What French word is used in English for a funeral procession or a train of attendants?
Cortege.
Yes. What term is used in computing for a type of malicious software that's hidden in what appears to be a legitimate file? It references an event in Greek mythology.
Malware.
Trojan. The 2012 winner of the television series The Great British Bake Off went on to write the cookery books Perfect Plates in 5 Ingredients and Comfort, Food to Soothe the Soul. What's his name?
Pass.
What is the alternative common name for the ounce, a member of the cat family native to the high mountains of India and Central Asia?
Tiger.
Snow leopard. The two long, thin bones in the human forearm are the radius and which other bone?
Ulna.
Yes. Which market town in North Yorkshire, whose name comes from the Old English for sheep town, holds an annual sheep day on the first Sunday of July?
Harrogate.
Skipton. When it opened in 1988, the Seikan Tunnel became the world's longest underwater tunnel. It links Hokkaido with which other Japanese island?
Okinawa.
Honshu. Which 1974 spoof horror film, directed by Mel Brooks, stars Gene Wilder in the title role and the comedy actor Marty Feldman as Igor?
Young Frankenstein.
Yes, the Italian composer Franco Alfano is best known for completing an unfinished opera by Puccini. Which opera?
Faust.
Turandot. The adjective vulpine means of, relating to, or resembling which mammal? The animal itself is often characterized as being crafty and cunning.
Fox.
Yes. In August 1968, Warsaw Pact troops entered Czechoslovakia to suppress the liberalising reforms of the Prague Spring initiated by the country's first secretary of the Communist Party. What was his name?
Pass.
Which English football club based in the Midlands won the inaugural League Cup in 1961?
Birmingham City.
Aston Villa. In 2005, London Strand Theatre was renamed after a Welsh composer, singer and actor. What was his name?
Pass.
Which British novelist, best known for his spy thrillers, wrote the 2016 autobiographical work, The Pigeon Tunnel?
John le Carré.
Correct. What is the more common name for a hordelum, a small abscess that forms around the base of an eyelash?
Welt.
It's a sty, you know. One of those-
Sty, yeah.
Your other passes. The Strand Theatre was renamed the Novello after Ivan Novello, the first secretary of the Communist Party in Czechoslovakia. A very brave man was Alexander Dubček, and the 2012 winner of the Great British Bake Off, who went on to do all of that other stuff, was John Waite. You have scored now, Matthew, a total of 10 points. And next up, Kathy. And you start out with 11 points, Kathy. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge for you coming up. A cockapoo is a cross between a cocker spaniel and which other dog breed?
Poodle.
Yep. Which city is the capital of the US state of Hawaii? It's on the island of Oahu.
Honolulu.
Yes. In what 1986 horror film does Jeff Goldblum play an eccentric scientist who's transformed into a hybrid creature after an experiment goes wrong?
The Fly.
Yeah. Which novel by Leo Tolstoy begins with the line, "Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way"?
Pass.
What school of philosophy, founded by Zeno of Citium in the early 4th century BC, is named after the Greek term for the painted colonnade where he began to teach?
Pass.
Which opera house was built in Milan in the 1770s and has a name that could be translated as the staircase?
Pass.
Who became the first American world chess champion when he beat Boris Spassky in Reykjavik in 1972?
Pass.
The best-selling motivational business story by Spencer Johnson, first published in 1998 and subtitled An Amazing Way to Deal with Change in Your Work and in Your Life, has the title Who Moved My what?
Cheese.
Yes. Which Caribbean island has Scarborough as its principal town and forms a country with its larger neighbour Trinidad?
Tobago.
Yes. What class of organic compounds which contain both NH2 and carboxyl groups are the building blocks from which proteins are made? Examples include proline and alanine.
Albumin.
Amino acids. What colloquial three-word term is commonly used for a genre of film characterized by a setting in the ancient world featuring biblical, classical or mythical characters? The term refers to weaponry and footwear.
Oh, gunboot.
Sword and Sandal. Which of his paintings did J.N.W. Turner exhibit at the Royal Academy, accompanied by the words, "The flag which braved the battle and the breeze no longer owns her," taken from a poem by Thomas Campbell?
The Golden Hind.
The Fighting Temeraire. Which airline, previously the national airline of the Soviet Union, is now generally regarded as the de facto national carrier of Russia?
Aeroflot.
Yes. What name and abbreviation of picture element is given to a single point of illumination on a visual display device such as a monitor? The number of such points determines the screen's resolution.
Pixel.
Yes. And we are out of time. You had 4 passes. Bobby Fischer was the, which you knew, of course. He beat Boris Spassky. La Scala is the opera house. The name can be translated as the staircase. That school of philosophy was Stoicism. And happy families are all alike, etc. Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. You have now a total, Kathy, of 18 points.
Thank you.
And now Michael again, please. And you start out with 12 points. 18 the score to beat at the moment. Here we go with your general knowledge. Mount Olympus, which rises to 9,570 feet, is the highest mountain in which European country?
Greece.
Yeah. What four-letter acronym is the popular name for a court order imposed on people deemed to have acted offensively or disruptively? It was introduced in the 1998 Crime and Disorder Act.
Hasbo.
Yes. Switzerland has 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and which other?
Romansh.
Yes. What classic cocktail consists of vodka and orange juice topped up with Galliano?
Screwdriver.
Harvey Wallbanger. What common name is given to several species of monkey native to the tropical forests of Central and South America because the markings on the top of their heads were thought to resemble the cowls worn by an order of Franciscan friars?
Pass.
What computer programming language developed by IBM in the late 1950s has a name derived from the term formula translation?
Algorithm.
Fortran. Which city in Southeast Ireland is famous for the glassware first produced there in 1783?
Cork.
Waterford. Lord Byron writes in his epic poem Don Juan that the English winter ends in July. What month does he say it starts again?
August.
Yes. What is the title of the 2019 film that stars Taron Egerton as Elton John? It's a reference to one of the singer's 1972 hit singles.
Rocket Man.
Yes. Which 1878 operetta by Gilbert and Sullivan has the alternative title The Lass That Loved a Sailor?
Pirates of Penzance.
HMS Pinafore. In the Spanish language, what's the name of the diacritical mark placed above the letter N to change its sound? The mark is used in the words señor and mañana.
Pass.
Billy Fury, Glenn Campbell and the band Child each had UK hit singles with a cover version of a 1958 chart-topping song for Conway Twitty. What's its title?
Rhinestone Cowboy.
It's Only Make-Believe. Which Mediterranean island withstood a 5-month siege by the Ottoman forces of Suleiman the Magnificent in 1565? The defence was led by the Knights of St. John.
Malta.
Yes. In April 2019, in his last appearance after 25 years as the chair of a long-running Radio 4 panel programme about horticulture, Eric Robson said it was time for him to throw in the trowel. Which programme?
Gardener's Weekly.
Gardener's Question Time. The name of what Italian dessert made of layered sponge cake and mascarpone cheese soaked in coffee translates into English as pick-me-up?
Tiramisu.
Yes. The Motion Picture Production Code, published in 1930, was a detailed series of censorship guidelines for American filmmakers on matters such as sex, vulgarity and profanity. It was more popularly known by what name? Take a guess.
Parental guidelines.
And now is the Hays Code. And your 2 passes, that mark above the letter N that changes its sound, it's called a tilde. And the common name given to those monkeys that had sort of cowls on their heads were capuchins, capuchin monkeys. You have now, Michael, a total of 19 points. And finally, Edward, again, please. And you have your 14 points to fall back on. 19 is the score to beat as we speak. So let's see how you do with your general knowledge. Here we go. What nut, actually the fruit of a tree related to the cashew, has a pale green edible kernel that can be roasted and salted or used as an ice cream flavouring?
Pistachio.
Yes. Which metallic element used in the nuclear industry is the main constituent by weight of the chemical compound known as yellow cake?
Uranium.
Yes. In Salvador Dali's 1931 painting, The Persistence of Memory, he depicts certain objects as limp and fluid, as if they were made of melting wax. What objects?
Watches.
Yep. What is the title of the 1992 novel by Ian Banks, which opens with the line, "It was the day my grandmother exploded"?
The Crow Road.
Yes. The FIE is the governing body of which Olympic combat sport?
Karate.
Fencing. Which American pop group released the 1966 album Pet Sounds? Its many well-known tracks include Sloop, John B. and God Only Knows.
The Doors.
The Beach Boys. Fortified wines such as sherry or port are made by adding a spirit during or after fermentation. What spirits usually added?
Wine.
Brandy. What is named the stuffed red seat in the House of Lords, which is sat upon by the Lord Speaker? The original is thought to have been introduced by Edward III in the 14th century.
Woolsack.
Yeah. Which children's character, created by Jacqueline Wilson, first appeared in a 1991 book as a 10-year-old girl who lives in a care home? Television series adapted from the books began in 2002 with Danny Harmer in the role.
Tracy Beaker. Jamaica.
Correct. What is the name of the village on the outskirts of Dorchester built on land owned by the Duchy of Cornwall? The Prince of Wales laid the foundation stone and construction began in 1993.
Carnarvon.
Poundbury. Which actor portrays Stan Laurel in the 2018 film biopic Stan and Ollie? The film tells the story of Laurel and Hardy's post-war tour of British theatres towards the end of their careers.
John Smith.
Steve Coogan. What is the name of the two-wheeled, self-balancing motorised vehicle that was invented by Dean Kamen in 2001?
Segway.
Yes. Which batsman who made his England cricket debut in the first test against Australia in 2005 played his last test against the same opposition in 2014 when he was out for scores of just 3 and 6?
Fred Flintoff.
Kevin Peterson. Which French painter associated with the concept of naive art was nicknamed Le Douanier in reference to his day job in a toll office?
Monet.
Rousseau. Which work based on 13th century Latin poems was set to music in 1937 by Carl Orff?
Carmine Burana.
Yes. In which Dutch city was the treaty signed in February 1992 that established the European Union? Its terms included granting common citizenship to the nationals of all member states.
Maastricht.
Is correct. Edward, total of 23 points. So let's have a look at all of those scores. In fourth place with 10 points, Matthew. Third place with 18 points, Kathy. Second place with 19 points, Michael. Way out there in first place with 23 points, Edward. Which means, of course, that Edward goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thank you for watching.
When I first sat down in the famous black chair, it was really nerve-wracking, and for my first answer, I knew it, but it just took me a while to remember what was going on and to get into the swing of things.
Which actress plays Mrs. Hudson in 10 of the films?
I didn't expect to win today. I knew there was always a chance that I could if I had the right questions, and thankfully I did have the right questions. It feels unreal. I might just wake up in my bed and it's still all just a dream. I don't know yet.